apparently we're doing a part 2 of this video because I had a timer go off so that I could do my lumen. And when you have that happen, the camera stops. So we're starting with picking up from where I got interrupted for part 1 and putting my glasses back on. Okay, so the next page of this report actually further breaks things down. So we already had, the arms and the legs and the trunk, but breaking the trunk of your body into what they call the android and the gynoid portions. So the android portion is from about your belly button up, and the gynoid portion is from your belly button and to just below your gluteal line. Okay, so I could have told you before this scan that I'm apple shaped, and I knew that I was going to have a higher reading for the android portion. And yes, so overall my trunk is 34% fat. But the android portion is 35.9, so basically 36%, whereas my gynoid area is 29%. Again, not surprised by that, but science confirms it. Okay. So the next part of the report is specifically about my bones. And so comparing what is fat mass versus what is lean mass and what is bone mass. So apparently in my body, I am 55.1 pounds of fat. And I've often said, well, I think I have about 20 or 30, maybe as much as 50 pounds to lose. And if I wanted to be like a 3% body fat, then that would be accurate. So this report is helping me to have a more realistic idea of what needs to go. Some of what I am perceiving as fat is loose skin. And I kind of knew that, but being able to see that in more detail and knowing for sure what is very, very helpful to me. So I am 55.1 pounds of fat, which means that I am 121 pounds of lean mass. So I'm basically, you can do the math there. And of the lean mass, which includes bone, 5.3 pounds is bone mineral. Okay, and that's pretty good. Okay, so here we have just like what is my bone versus the bone and fat and other lean tissue. So you can kind of see that. And then the other part, and I'm just gonna sort of show this, and it's a little hard to see, but I'm kind of coming up here. So see that green dot, that black dot in the middle, towards the edge of the green. You want to be in the green, right? And you don't want to be in the red. So this is actually for my total body, how much BMD, which is bone mass, my bone mass density, grams over centimeters squared. I am in the green. Okay, and then there's another type of score which is on here, and then it breaks this down into head, arms, leg, trunk, spine, pelvis, all of that. And all of those numbers don't necessarily mean a whole lot to me, but if I did this again, I would be able to compare and see like, oh, I'm losing bone mass in my pelvis. That would not be good, right? So again, it breaks this down into a lot of kind of interesting things to see. But they have something that's called the YAT score, and that is the young adult T score. And the T score is that total body score. And the YA part is for young adult. So the way that they explained it is, when you are a young adult, basically between age 20 and age 30, that is when we all have the best bone density of our lives, right? Unless something weird happens, right? So when you're a kid, you are growing, hopefully you are gaining bone mass as time goes by, and you stop growing around or before you're 20 years old. And so between 20 and 30, this is the prime time of your life when it comes to your bone health, okay? So I actually am 0.8 over what would be expected for my height for bone health. So I'm doing great with bone health. And my joke is that science says that I'm big bones. That's fine. I'll take that. Science says I'm big boned. So what does that mean? It means that, yeah, I have a larger frame, scientifically. I have more bone mass than many other women do at any point in their lives, even in their youth. And so should I continue with good diet, with bone, good exercise that is weight bearing exercise, things like walking, things like running, things like lifting weights, things that challenge your bones, that I'm probably at less risk for doing things like falling and breaking my hip, right? Falling and breaking a major bone in my body. Now, I'm thrilled to hear this, but I have had some bone breaking in my life, and I think but it's always been like weird bones. So like for example, I cracked the radial ball, the end of your arm bone, right there, your elbow. I broke that because I slipped and fell on an ice in an ice storm. I've broken bones in my feet, again, slipping and falling in weirdo ways. I've broken bones in my feet. And in the recent past, I have had some bone loss in my upper jaw, and that is because I had some bone infections from dental work that just went insane. Some of that is related to having been diabetic, right? You're just more prone to infections as a person who has diabetes. But the only area of my body where there's some issues with my bone mass is literally in my upper jaw. I don't know if that's going to correct itself. I hope that it does. And I'm going to be working with my dentist for that jawbone health. And hopefully I can get dental implants. And if I get dental implants, then there'll be more even pressure and stimulation against the bone, instead of like sort of this, and then like having, if this was my jawbone and here was like where some teeth were missing, like in the back, where then this part of the bone isn't being stimulated, so the body thinks I don't need it. Yeah, but the rest of my body is fine as far as the bone health. So there we go. That is positive news. Just not real thrilled about the jaw part. Okay, so then there's a further breakdown here of body composition: left arm versus right arm, upper arm versus lower arm, legs left to right, trunk, gynoid, android, and then also the visceral fat. What is visceral fat? Well, you may have heard that term before. Visceral fat is the fat that is around your organs. It's around your pancreas. It's around your intestines. It may be around your heart. You're really not supposed to have fat there, okay? And the ideal range for visceral fat is from 0 pounds to as much as 1 pound. And for me, I have 2.67 pounds of visceral adipose, transition fat tissue. So while I'm not happy to see that number, honestly, I am shocked because being an apple shape and the whole bit, I kind of would have assumed that that number was higher. Now, the guy who did my scan was like, it would have been fascinating to do a scan for you before you lost this 100+ pounds. And I'm like, that would have been fascinating, but yet it would have been really horrifying also, because I am certain that that number would have been much, much higher. I was a big old apple. I'm still apple shaped, but kind of more normal for that, if there's such a thing. But yeah, so now he was saying that this is an area that as you continue to lose weight, that number can really change very quickly, and I certainly hope so. And that's definitely something that I am going to be working on. As it's not that you can target where you burn fat, right? But as a general statement, as I lose more and more body fat, some of it is going to be coming from around there. And I'm going to burn that butter because I don't need it anymore. Okay. So let's see what else we have on my report. And then this is just kind of a delightful little picture of where I have the fat in my mouth, right? And like little charts about that. So that was my report. I will probably go back in maybe, they didn't recommend going back any sooner than like 3 months, although some people will go like once a month or once every 8 weeks or something like that. But the guy who did my scan said, really, you're going to see the most change in a 3-month period. And that would, if you were to do this, that would be a better value to you. So I'm considering doing this again in either somewhere between like 3 months to 6 months and see what the changes are. And hopefully things will be changing for the positive. Meanwhile, I am going to be working on the left half of my body with various weight-bearing exercises in addition to all of my other exercise to try and even out that imbalance in my body. And I'm gonna, most people avoid the stuff that sucks, like the burpees and planks and things like that if you stink at it. But I am going to be working much more actively on core building because your chances overall of injury, if there's like these disparities in the body, are that much greater. So now that I know it based on the science, I know what to do. I know that what I have been doing is working and I am moving forward. So again, I make no commission by saying this. The company was called Composition ID. It was easy to schedule an appointment. It was, there's a little bit of upselling, which that's fine. But like they weren't pushy about it. And they were very supportive of me. I had said, I'd shared that I had, lost this weight in part, and that I've been working really, really hard, in part because I wanted to have this person who's doing my scan and interpreting my scan and telling me what things mean to be mindful of perhaps his choice of words, not hurt my feelings. But in the end, I didn't have to worry about any of that. Very professional. And it was a really positive experience. So if you think that that would be something that would be helpful for you, as I said, I definitely recommend it. So Have a great evening, and maybe I'll do this again in 3 to 6 months and we can compare. All right, have a great evening.